The third leading weak spot area that I want to talk about is encryption. Private information is the holy grail, what companies need to protect and safeguard these days, especially if they care about their reputation, they care about preventing class action lawsuits, and they also care about regulators coming at them. If you are encrypting private information at rest, and at rest means at the database layer on laptops where it could be stored, that is a great control, and it also provides some level of safe harbor should you lose that laptop or should a bad guy get into that database. If the information is encrypted, it's unreadable. The bad guy cannot see what is actually in the database, therefore you have some level of protection there. One of the problems though is encryption is an expense to companies, it's complex to put in place, and there's outside organizations such as the Identity Theft Resource Center, which shows of all the breaches that happened last year, roughly only 2% of the companies had their information encrypted. So it's a major shortcoming, and we see that time and time again. The final thing that we often talk about with clients who we assess, and again, the assessment could be for risk management purposes, it could be for compliance with state and federal laws, it could be to help them qualify for their privacy insurance coverage, and finally, it could just be a business partner is asking for some kind of due diligence. So the conversation ultimately comes back to why is all this happening to many of the organizations, many of the peer organizations for the business who we are assessing, and then also what can be done about this to improve our posture. What we find, and some of the things we try to talk with our customer about is, again, where is all their information? But more importantly, what information are they collecting throughout the organization? Is it just business information and data, or is it actually information on people? Again, the non-public private information. We find many companies collect, store, and share more private information than actually what is needed for their business purpose. The other thing is they store that information too long. They have weak records retention programs where they oftentimes will store things indefinitely. One of the problems with that is instead of having just 100,000 customers in your network that was breached by a bad guy, you now may have 7 times that. So your exposure to liability just went through the roof. We find password procedures, not necessarily with end users, but with the admins of many corporate networks, tend to be weak. Password can be password, or they share a common password amongst all admins across the network. That's not a great practice. The other thing raising a bar for all companies in this area is many new state and federal laws. In many ways, we ask the risk manager, really as a first step, get to know your IT folks and especially your IT security and privacy officers. Get a sense of the challenges that these folks go through on a daily basis in trying to safeguard information, control access to that information. Speak with those IT folks about what your job is as a risk manager and what your goal is, and it could be helping them further the cause of protecting that information, or recognizing that at the end of the day there's still going to be residual risk no matter how good the safeguards are in place. You cannot prevent all the security risks out there. It's just impossible. But what many of the risk managers will do is they recognize that, and they may want to cede the residual risk through insurance coverage. Start with a risk assessment, and that's where we come in. We try to help the company gauge their practices spanning people, processes, policies, and technology. It's not all just about the firewalls or encryption practices. In many ways, it starts with the people. Do the people care about their job? Do the people have the funding to do their job properly on a daily basis? Do the people get ongoing training? And just a few weeks ago, we had a chance to do an assessment on a company, and the IT security folks were there over 20 years in this company, which is unheard of. And they were very proud of their organization because they were constantly going through an ongoing training, and they were getting new certifications. Their positive attitude helped them actually become a better risk.